Test, test, test. Test, 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 test. Starting a few minutes early just to make sure we are all good to go here. Thankfully, somebody or a couple people already on. Thank you so much. Get started here in a few minutes. Gave you guys a recap of why we're 90 minutes late. Great. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate you tuning in. Man, I have to say that 90 minutes ago, I did not expect to get a phone call from one of my best friends. Basically, he's in Texas and screaming that his wife is hysterical because his house is on fire. And if I can get over to his house to address and give him some feedback because he wasn't getting any useful information from her, she was going crazy. Turns out the house was semi on fire, but suffered a really, really, really bad lightning strike. It absolutely destroyed a huge 100-foot tall oak tree in the front yard, traveled down the tree itself into the home, blew out an entire wall, fried every electrical wire, circuit, outlet device inside the home. I got some pictures I'll try and upload later, but it was, I've never seen anything like that. Even the firemen that showed up and were dealing with that had never seen anything like that either. The doorbell was completely just exploded. I mean, it was just man, every outlet just looked like a bomb went off inside it. Blew out his front window, blew out the entire front wall. The inside, the drywall is just gone. Man, so yeah, been dealing with that. Thankfully, everyone was safe. All his wife was safe. His dogs were safe. Tree that the remnants of the tree did fall on her vehicle, so she's pretty upset about that. But everyone is safe and healthy and happy. Well, I won't say happy. Everyone's safe and otherwise unharmed. And unfortunately, man, having to have your whole home rewired and basically losing pretty much every electronic device: fridges, dryers, washing machines, TVs, stereos, just laptops, computers, just all of that just completely gone. So fingers crossed that his insurance company will help him get that sorted out sooner rather than later. But I predict them to be without power since that whole home has to be rewired. I don't know how long that takes. So if anyone's ever had that happen before, don't wish that on anyone, especially it makes it doubly worse that he's stuck in Texas and is just getting all this over the phone, getting updates and hey, Jim, our retired firefighter. Yeah, no, there were more. I've never seen that many firefighters in one place at any given time. I'll upload some photos here in a second that I took there. All of them were pretty much in awe, not seeing just a tree that's 4 feet in diameter that just looked like someone packed it with dynamite and set it off. It really was wild. Thankfully, the tree itself exploded the other direction, didn't fall on the home. But yeah, I really don't know what it'll take to rewire an entire home. Never really thought about that until right now. But I can't even fathom how much work and effort and cost is going to be involved in replacing the wiring to every single home, or every single outlet, every single panel, everything in that house was just again looked like someone had stuffed it with firecrackers. It was crazy to see. Even the low voltage stuff, like the security system, all the windows, the little tiny little I forget what those little magnet connectors are. All of those, it traveled through all that. It's just absolutely incredible. Yeah, trying to relay that all to my friend in Texas was not probably not the highlight of his day. So we'll leave it at that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I will say that as I'm thinking this is the powers that be upstairs, downstairs, wherever the controls the timeshare industry and oversees that, whatever the god of timeshares is, just clearly doesn't want these things to happen on Tuesdays. I can't seem to get this thing to work out on a Tuesday night. So I'm gonna keep trying, guys. If anything, I will persevere and we will get this sorted out, get a regular time that everyone can tune in and be regular for. But man, just something always seems to come up on Tuesdays that prevent this from happening. So got a good show for you tonight. I hope everybody's super excited. The last week was great. Last couple of weeks we've been talking about the Wyndham thing. We'll probably get into that in a little bit as well. But the stuff we got covering tonight is we'll start off as the timeshare marketplace, the absolute most one of the most amazing milestones that I still in this day and age I can't can't quite express how proud I am that this community has been able to establish itself and be able to provide such effective solutions for timeshare owners to be able to sell and rent their timeshares without paying large upfront fees, and we don't charge any commissions. So for the marketplace itself, which is entirely run by owners, people are posting the timeshares themselves, and there's zero large upfront fees, zero commissions. Being able to sell and rent $75 million worth of timeshares is truly remarkable. And there may be places out there that tout more than that. However, we post all of our results. You can see every timeshare that's sold or rented in the marketplace through the sales history records. We see the results day in and day out of timeshares being sold and rented by owners, and just giving people the ability to do that without having to pay a huge upfront fee, without having to get scammed, or without having to deal with the unscrupulous people that seem to litter this industry. And I like to tell people when I get interviewed that if you're trying to sell a timeshare, that there's odds are you're going to encounter a scammer. If you type in something into Google search, have your timeshare listed somewhere, even on a legitimate platform, you are going to encounter someone who is going to try to extract money from you to quote unquote help you sell or rent your timeshare. It's a foregone conclusion, and it is truly a shame that the industry has gotten the way it is. But as I like to say, there is more money in lying to someone in the timeshare industry than there is in telling them the truth. We get dozen phone calls, emails every single day of people asking, hey, can you help me sell my timeshare? What do you think it's worth? What do you think I can get for it? And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of value in, not a lot of monetary value in there. I'm sure they're very appreciative of being blunt and being honest. But there's not a lot of monetary value into telling someone that their timeshare has no value, or they're likely going to have to give it away, or probably only to get a few cents on the dollar, even if it's a valuable timeshare compared to what they paid for it originally. That is not a lucrative message. That is not a popular message, and it's not something anyone really wants to hear. But unfortunately, it's something I say a dozen times a day. The reactions to that are varied. You get people that probably already knew that to begin with and just wanted to hear someone else say it. You get people that think I'm nuts, that think I'm trying to lowball them and I'm going to take their timeshare and resell it and make some sort of money on that. More power to them. There are many people that are just flat out in denial. Not so much that they think that they're being tricked, but they just don't want to believe that what they paid thousands of dollars for it when they originally bought that timeshare is now worthless in terms of monetary value anyway. So a lot of people just, they probably know it's the truth in the back of their heads, but no one really wants to admit that, for lack of a better term, that they made a really, really big financial mistake in paying full price for their timeshare. So the fact that we're able to sell, and the majority of our timeshares are sold for a very, very small amount of money. So you see 75 million, that includes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of timeshares that were given away for free that don't even add to that total because they were listed as free or for $1 or something like that. So to have $75 million in successful resale and rentals, and I want to say that the split is somewhere 48,365,000 in resales and 26,669,000 in rentals. That is truly those numbers just never cease to amaze me, and they go up every single day. We get completed listings, both for sale and for rent each and every day. We've started implementing some notifications for these. People congratulating them. Hey, get your timeshare sold, get your timeshare rented. We did that for a couple of reasons. One, I personally wanted to see, on an instantaneous basis when timeshares got sold and rented. Two, there also it immediately notifies the individual that they marked their timeshare as complete, and we get a lot of people that did it by accident. So we're able to go back in there and reset that and get their listing back up live on the internet or on the marketplace. It doesn't happen. It's not a regular thing, but it does happen. Occasionally, and now that they get a notification that they accidentally clicked that, we can get their listing back up and running, so that if they didn't truly have it sold or rented, we certainly don't want to take that ability away from them by no longer having that listed in the marketplace. So Billy, good evening. Thanks for tuning in again. I appreciate you doing that. Also, it looks like we got a number of people online. This is fantastic. I'm so appreciative and so very much blessed that you guys are willing to spend your Tuesday evening looking at me or looking at the monitor and chatting about timeshares. So this is an absolutely wonderful time. Again, I apologize that this got delayed. For those of you that just tuned in, as I mentioned on the the forum, we had a bit of an emergency where a friend of mine's house was struck by lightning. We actually thought it was on fire. And I guess in a way that it was, since the electrical wiring was certainly still smoking when I was there, and the firefighters were monitoring that. But yeah, I do not wish anyone's house to get struck by lightning. So if I have ever encountered that, my prayers go out to you. I'm certainly going to do everything I can to help my friend because he is stuck in Texas. But just a truly, truly devastating event that it wasn't even raining at our house, and we're not even a mile away. So truly, truly wild event. Finishing up the marketplace again. Marketplace is how TUG started. It's the main reason. Half of people, I like to say, it's not even a half. Half of everyone who comes to TUG is trying to sell a timeshare or get rid of a timeshare. It's almost a 50%, and it's been that way since I took over. Going on 17, 18 years now. One half of every single person that comes to TUG is looking to get rid of their timeshare or sell it. So when you see these numbers in the marketplace, to be able to tell any timeshare owner that they can absolutely get their timeshare sold themselves without paying large upfront fees and without commissions is truly something that I'm extremely proud of, that the TUG is able to do and has been able to do since it was founded, 31 going on 32 years now. So absolutely kudos to the community, kudos to people that share TUG on social media. We are absolutely over the moon at numbers like this, and $75 million is just nothing to scoff at. So it truly is a remarkable milestone. We're still, sell and rent millions of dollars a year through the TUG marketplace, and I've been doing that for many, many years now. And we will continue to publish those final numbers each and every year, as well as each and every sales and rental history record is available on TUG through the resort review page. And you can see each and every one that's been sold or rented going back to probably 2008 or so when we started, and we upgraded the new marketplace so that we actually started tracking that stuff. So anyone looking to sell or rent their timeshare, post it on TUG. You have a great shot at getting it done, provided you follow the instructions that we have in the How to Sell guide. So moving on to topic number 2, it was, what's the best Tennessee timeshare vacation? Where would you go? What's your favorite resort in Tennessee? When I think Tennessee, for me, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, obviously the two most, has got to be the two most popular destinations there. I've personally been here. We didn't stay in a timeshare. We stayed there were a bunch of us, so we were in a big cabin up on the side of a mountain. I will say that for me, maybe y'all get used to it, but I could never get used to driving on those roads, the mountains. I'm from Florida. Everything's flat here, relatively speaking. We don't have mountains. I was truly freaked out by looking over the side, or not being a driver and looking on the side of the window and just down a sheer mountain with no guardrail, no nothing. Beautiful place. We love being in the mountains. It was fantastic. We did go to Gatlinburg to do the tourist thing once, so I get the appeal. There were a couple comments of, many people think it's one and done. That's the way it was for me. I felt like we got the full experience while we were there. I do have young small kids now, so I imagine they will probably want to go. I would enjoy probably going to Gatlinburg just for the mountains themselves versus actually going to downtown Gatlinburg to do the touristy stuff. The kids probably would like that. But there were a couple of resorts here that I had previously were not on my radar. The Wyndham Smoky Mountains is a perennial favorite when you talk about stuff like this. I saw the majority of responses were for that, and everyone thinks it's a wonderful place. There were some other ones in there that what was it? Laurel Point. That was one I'd seen the resort, but it's not anything that was ever on my radar. I did not think that it would be so highly rated in terms of Gatlinburg time theirs, but there were 2 or 3 people that mentioned that. So if I go back, I will absolutely look for a rental or a getaway there if it gets that such high reviews. And there was another one I'm trying to remember what one that someone mentioned, and someone mentioned that it was let me find it. I'm sorry, I forgot what it was. Didn't get to do all my notes. Where it wasn't. And a couple of people said they got exchanges to go there, and they were super excited that someone was very happy. Fairfield Glades, that was not the one in particular, but that seemed to get there were a couple of people in there that mentioned that was a fantastic one. Myrtle Beach looks a lot like Gatlinburg, but without mountains. That was easily my favorite comment of the entire thread. I suppose that everything kind of looks like Gatlinburg if you take away the mountains. Every tourist trap. Where was it? I'm going to find it because it was really, really one. Is it the Glade? No, it was the Glades. Maybe it was the Glades. Fairfield Glades could be Bent Creek. That was what it was. So Bent Creek. There were a couple of people that mentioned this, and a couple other people said that they were able to get those as exchanges or getaways And I mean, I honestly had to go look up that resort because it's not one that popped into my head that I was familiar with or heard of before. But again, I love to read these threads when people talk about the popular destinations and seeing resorts that we call them hidden gems on TUG for lack of a better term. So not something everyone knows the biggies. Everyone knows the main super popular mega resorts that you're obviously not going to have a bad time if you stay there. But some people overlook the other smaller wonderful resorts that would provide an amazing vacation. And so the fact that now I have two that I can add to my search should I choose to go either rent or try to get a getaway at any of these, taking my kids to Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge. This is the kind of information that TUG provides that makes for better vacations. I personally would never have probably even seen Bent Creek, and now it's something I will actively look for if I ever want to go back to Gatlinburg. The other tip that I noticed from this particular thread was someone mentioned that if you have a handicap spot, I don't, but I'm sure there are plenty of people that do travel. Handicap spots don't have to pay for the parking, meaning that I want to say that they said, can someone confirm that? That if you have a handicap tag on your car, I guess it doesn't have to be a Tennessee handicap tag, that you don't have to pay for parking, and that you're able to park in those areas completely free without paying the parking fees. That would be an absolutely wonderful rule implemented by Gatlinburg that allows some people that truly want to enjoy those experiences but aren't able to walk the ridiculously long distances that sometimes the parking in those areas results in. So driving through Tennessee over the weekend, went to Gatlinburg once and probably only once. We like Nashville. You're right. I mean, I thought Gatlinburg was beautiful. I thought it was amazing to wake up every morning above the clouds. I'll remember that. That was something cool. I would honestly think that is something I would like to show my kids. As for actual going to Gatlinburg itself, it would seem like just every other tourist trap to me. Lots of shops, lots of walking, lots of junk food, lots of junk. I won't say junk. That's probably a terrible word, but lots of touristy type things. Again, not ridiculous, and obviously it's just an amazing, super popular destination. But in doing that, I personally like Cades Cove. That I remember that also vividly. That Cades Cove was just absolutely amazing. If you want to get away from the hustle and bustle and the giant tourist attraction that is downtown Gatlinburg, Cades Cove was like another world as far as I was concerned. We were there, and I don't think we saw another car the entire time. I will say that it was touted as we were going to see all sorts of wildlife, and all I saw was deer. And I can see that in my front yard, so I didn't really want to drive to Gatlinburg. I was expecting like bears and mountain lions and dinosaurs or whatever. Cades Cove was amazing, and seeing all those extremely old homes that still exist in cemeteries, gravestones, all that stuff was just it's like a walk back in time. And you just couldn't beat the views. The fact that you could just make that big loop and drive and stop where you wanted to and not see a soul for miles. It truly was a wonderful experience. That is, again, something else that I would absolutely consider taking my kids back to Gatlinburg for, to view that. So I believe Florida offers free parking in certain state and public parks and garages, handicapped. They probably do. I'm not sure. Maybe I think it's St. Augustine, and I don't recall. Do you live in St. Augustine? I think. Do they offer free parking for handicap stuff, or do they make you pay the little toll thing? I'm not sure they care much in St. Augustine, but no, that's definitely something to look at. If you happen to have a handicap sticker, bring it with you. Many people probably wouldn't consider bringing their handicap placard or documentation when they're going on vacation. But if you're driving somewhere, look up the rules. If you can avoid paying tolls, or maybe get into some garages with a handicap tag that save you some money that you wouldn't normally have to have paid to park there, and I'm all for it. I want people to be able to enjoy vacations, and people like my mother who can't, are in a walker at this point and can't make long trips without being in physical pain. If it helps them enjoy some of those experiences that they would not otherwise be able to do, I'm all for it. I think laws like that there should be more of those. 100%. No one of the main parking garage downtown offers free parking with a placard. So there you go. St. Augustine, at least there are areas in St. Augustine. Again, another popular tourist destination that if you have a handicap sticker, exploit it. I use that for free parking. And I'm 100% in favor of laws like that. So going down to item three, we had a media article. The FTC and multiple attorney generals warned consumers against fraudulent timeshare cancellation companies. Not that this is any news to anyone on TUG. Timeshare cancellation and exit companies have been the bane of our existence for quite some time. So anyone for that matter that's soliciting a wonderful story, a too good to be true solution to get you out of your timeshare if you just pay them money up front, is always the biggest red flag out there. And so it is wonderful to see mainstream media outlets, whether it's Consumer Reporters, whether it's individual stations, whomever. This one happened to be in Orlando, and the reporter drove up from Orlando to interview me here in Jacksonville. We had a wonderful conversation, and I'm certainly happy with the overall story of the timeshare. So hey, anything that gets the warning against timeshare exit scams, timeshare cancellation scams in front of people that otherwise would not find TUG or otherwise would not have probably searched for that is a-okay in my book. So I certainly appreciate their time to come up and interview me. I certainly appreciate their time to do the story and write the story and get that message out. And I certainly hope that anyone who views that article will at least take the knowledge from that article, or at least plants a little seed in their mind that should they be engaged or approached or otherwise, consider using a timeshare exit or cancellation company that they choose not to, or at least are warned upfront about the dangers that propose there. So you're just not making a snap decision based on a pitch that may or may not be true, and in most cases is not true. Because that's how you probably got sold the timeshare in the first place. You believed 100% what that salesperson was selling and what they were telling you. Did very, very little research to see the dangers or probably the mistruths involved there. And as such, you spent far more money than you needed to on a product. In this case, the product is getting out of your timeshare. And we have numerous articles on that. But just to recap, there are only three ways to exit a timeshare: find a new owner to take it off your hands legally, negotiate a surrender to give it back to the resort, or stop paying for it. Those three options are the only ones that exist. There are no magical other options to get rid of a timeshare. And anyone offering any sort of creative solution or any solution other than that is just adding marketing lipstick on one of those three solutions. And in most cases for timeshare exit and cancellation companies, it's the third one, in having you unintentionally or intentionally stop paying for your timeshare to force the resort or developer to negotiate a surrender of the ownership with you. That's just the sad times of this day and age that is what timeshare exit has become. The industry itself is just as much to blame as the exit companies are, because there are far too many systems out there, far too many resorts out there that just simply provide no useful help to an owner when it's time to get rid of their timeshare. They call and ask. They may have been owners for 20 years. They may have they can't physically use the timeshare anymore. And there are just far too many phone calls and far too many emails and far too many internet reports from people who have reached out for help to try and get rid of the timeshare when it is truly time for them to end their ownership, be it health or age or death, for lack of a better term, and are just given no help whatsoever. And if truly, I believe with the bottom of my heart, if you have made a good faith effort to give your timeshare back and got no help from your resort, and you made a good faith effort to try and give your timeshare away and were unsuccessful, the only solution remaining to you is to walk away. And I know that I'm well aware that you doing that puts the burden of your maintenance fees on the remaining owners. However, if it's between you putting food on the table or paying rent or paying for medical bills and paying for a timeshare that you don't use, don't want, can't give back, and can't give away, I mean, yes, it's a terrible option, but it's a less terrible option than continuing to pay for something that has all those characteristics. So I hate the fact that this industry has become the way it is, and that I have to give that advice more often than not. You would not believe how many people that I tell those three options to, and the last one is almost guaranteed to be the only one that's really going to work out for them. There are so many, even major systems, where an owner has a very, very low chance of giving away the timeshare, even offering to pay closing costs or offering to pay transfer fees, and has no chance to give the timeshare back because there's not an official exit program. So in default, you are forcing the timeshare's hand into negotiating a settlement or some sort of deed back or agreement to give that timeshare back, that deed back to the resort. And it is a sad situation. But again, when you're forced with two really terrible options, if one of those options is free and the other one requires you to pay maintenance fees for the rest of your life, that's not a terribly hard decision for someone to make. But again, the industry could end this problem overnight by mandating some sort of exit program for all of its owners. I don't care what that exit program is, as long as it's something legitimate and reasonable. Now, if they want to adopt, which many of them have, we've seen Blue Green, we've seen Westgate, we've seen Holiday Inn, we've seen Diamond, all adopt the upfront fee surrender model. They see exit companies making money hand over fist by charging people thousands of dollars to quote unquote cancel their timeshare. And you see so many of these developers adopting that model because it works. If you were trying to tell me that you can pay $5,000 to XYZ cancellation company to get rid of your timeshare, it doesn't surprise me that Blue Green is now charging 1.5 years maintenance fees, or Westgate's charging $1,500, or Diamond Resorts is charging $1,250 or $2,000 or whatever the latest amount is per contract. To see these wild numbers that it is going to cost someone to get rid of their timeshare. Again, at least it is an option, and it's one that is working directly with the resort instead of working with a third-party company that you're paying for no other option than to just stop paying for your timeshare and forcing the timeshare system or developer's hand to negotiate a surrender. You can do that yourself. Doesn't cost you anything. But the fact that the industry, there is not a more standard offering for a solution, any sort of solution to give back timeshares for the majority, I would say the majority of timeshare systems. Many of them tout an exit solution, but in most cases, yeah, it might exist, but it's far too selective. Even Wyndham right now, I believe, is shut down. They're not currently taking back any more Wyndham timeshares, and they used to be the absolute flagship, cream of the crop of the timeshare exit industry. It's been free for years. They take it back, no questions asked. They take back just almost all of them carte blanche. And now in this year, we've seen multiple reports from owners of Wyndham ownerships that they're still in active sales. So there should be very, very little reason why someone with a paid off Wyndham points ownership should not be able to give that back. I saw someone just on Facebook the other day say they called this afternoon to try and give back a 300,000 point. I want to say it was a Club Wyndham Access ownership, and they were refused. And that absolutely blows my mind. That is something that they would sell for north of what, $60,000 for a 300,000 point package. And you're trying to tell me that this owner wants to give it back free and clear, and you're the Wyndham Cares or Certified Exit or whatever the current name of it is today, is turned off for that. That's mind blowing. And again, I tell every single executive or ARTA member, anyone that chooses to listen to me, and when they ask for my opinion, is the biggest problem with the industry today. Is the industry itself drives its own customers right into the teeth of timeshare exit scams and timeshare cancellation scams. And until that changes, these companies are just going to continue to run rampant over this industry and collect money hand over fist. There's really just not anything. The industry can say whatever it wants and release every study it wants and do press releases, but without a viable option for owners, when you tell them two bad things and this other company out there is saying, we can cancel your timeshare guaranteed, no problem, 100% successful guarantee, money back guarantee, all of the stuff a timeshare owner wants to hear. When faced with those two messages, that is absolutely going to be the solution that an owner is going to take, because no one wants to hear the bad stuff. I hear that every day. No one wants to hear the truth that you really are going to have a difficult time in getting rid of your timeshare. Everyone wants to hear that they can take care of it, guaranteed, no problem whatsoever. All you have to do is pay money up front. Convenience is value, and people are going to pay that and prove it year in and year out that they're willing to pay thousands of dollars to conveniently get out of their timeshare. I can't believe there's a TUG now running their own exit company. Wow. You have to private message me that later. I can think that I could probably take a guess of two or three, but yeah, that would be. I always like to say that if I ever wanted to retire, it would not be difficult to make a very, very large amount of money if I had no morals and I was unscrupulous and I was willing to lie to people or intentionally mislead them in order to collect serious amounts of money. The exit industry proves that year in and year out. It's a multi-million dollar venture that just about anyone can take. I'm just not wired that way. I could never be a salesman. I'd never be an effective salesman. I just don't have the ability to lie to someone's face to make a buck. But there are clearly no lack of people in this industry that do not have that particular gene and have no problems whatsoever in telling people what they want to hear in order to get them to pay them money. It was a joke based on the comment he made. Well, yeah, no, that doesn't. Oh, yeah, RX8. Yes, yes. Now that was hysterical. He's mentioning there was. It's funny when we get the people asking, "Hey, have you ever heard of XYZ Exit Company?" And then someone will do the research and post up all sorts of information about, company just founded, and all their complaints are the same, and so on and so forth. And sometimes the employees or even principals, who I believe it was in this case, finally find that thread, and or what happens more often than not is when you type in the name of that company, that particular thread on TUG, on the TUG forum, shows up as the number one natural search engine result. And when they find their own company being, outed, for lack of a better term, on TUG, many times they will register their own names, or pretend to be customers. And in this case, someone registered and made some wild claims about one of our famous investigators who does deep dives into many of these companies, doing research on the principles of the companies, where they're registered business, who they used to, their websites, how long they've been in. And when he'll publish all of that information, they made a claim today that he is just shaming other exit companies because he runs his own exit company, and he wants people to use his company instead of these other exit companies, which is just whatever. Again, when you lie to people for a living, it comes easy. I suppose you can just regurgitate absolute horseshit at will, and not have any qualms about it being truthful or not. Which unfortunately I've never encountered such a large percentage. And I mean, I say large percentage, but overall, the majority of people in the industry are wonderful people. But even if only 1%, that's still tens of thousands of people who are just absolute scumbags. And so I've just never encountered that percentage, or that level of the numerous people I've encountered in this industry who are just flat out terrible people. I just don't have any other better way to say it. Just absolutely terrible people. And somebody says, "Has this not been changing?" I'm sorry, I forgot to. Have I been scrolling this whole thing and I've been leaving the marketplace thing on there? I think I have. Drat. So I should probably click share this tab instead, shouldn't I? I'm getting used to it. So sorry. I thought I was changing the stuff around there. That's my apologies. So here I am scrolling through and reading some of these posts, and you guys are still looking at the marketplace stuff. So sorry, getting used to it. I'll get better. I promise. I've really been working on my trying not to say and the pauses too much. You'd be amazed how many YouTube videos try to help you avoid doing that. And I just said it again. Damn it. So, okay, moving on. So again, to reiterate, thank you so much to the Orlando news station that released this particular video. Thankfully, they came up, they interviewed us, and released a piece that I feel that any normal timeshare owner who saw that piece, or saw the replay of that piece, or saw the article on their website, is at least going to be warned that the chances of them engaging a timeshare exit company are very, very high, and that the chances of them being scammed by a timeshare exit or cancellation company are equally as high. And if they do a little bit of research, hopefully they find TUG. And if they do a little reading on TUG, they will realize that they can accomplish the exact same thing a timeshare exit or cancellation company can themselves. I had someone comment on the last video that said kind of too often. It was irritating. Absolutely. It's you got to be your own worst critic. I would think that you, just like me, you watch your own videos and you just cringe at some of the stuff you see, which does not. I don't feel it as I say it, and as I'm going through it. Good night, Billy. I appreciate you hanging out. I'm sorry that this came so late, but please blame the god of lightning. And I will do my best to ensure that hopefully another friend's house does not have an act of God that requires my intervention. I say my intervention. I wasn't a whole lot of help in that situation, nor was anyone else. But it is what it is. Yours and me, it's I hear just the pause, and I think they call them filler words. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on it. It's when you you can't even describe it without saying that's just terrible. But your brain is just trying to fill dead air, and for me, I can't just talk and just leave that pause there while you're thinking of another word that. And that's the one thing I say is breathe. So you take a step, instead of saying you just inhale, or just sit there and just pause. People would rather hear dead air. I personally wouldn't. It drives me up the wall. But people would rather hear dead air than you say so it's something I work on. But again, for those people that look at, but again, it's probably something I say 100 times a video as well. In doing that, It is something I actively work on. Public speaking is what is it the number one? I think it's the number one fear in the world, isn't it? Public speaking. I got over that a long time ago in uh, being a Microsoft engineer. I spoke at a lot of conferences. I will say the very first time I did speak at a conference and there were just thousands of people in the room, I did go in the bathroom and throw up right before the session came on. But that nervousness has gone away. At this point now, it's for me. I don't read off a script. I just do some of this stuff free form, and it's perfect. See, you breathe instead of saying just to try and my brain obviously works faster than my mouth does, and or vice versa. Maybe my mouth works faster than my brain, and that's why I need to say in order to find the words that I'm looking for to continue my sentence. Uh, I bought a teleprompter to help with that, though it means I need to write out scripts and it takes a lot more time. No, I will say that the videos that I do, the short videos, I do write a script for those, and I will record them. I find for me that I record them in bits and pieces where I can memorize a line or a paragraph and I can deliver that without saying and and pauses and things like that. And those videos seem much more prim and polished and wonderfully, I won't say wonderfully edited. I'm not going to toot my own horn. I'm certainly not the best at it, but they look way, way much better than the stuff I do live because I can always edit out the ums. I can slice all that stuff out. And when I'm reading, or if I've memorized a particular line, I'm not thinking of what I have to say. I'm just regurgitating it, and they sound much, much better. For the teleprompter, for me, they're easier to edit too. You're absolutely right. For me, the teleprompter, I found that it was more frustrating for me because you could see my eyes moving. Even reading at the screen, if I didn't like to watch myself reading. If I could tell I was reading, I didn't feel it was personal enough, and I didn't feel it was made for a good video. If I'm just sitting there just reading, it was obvious I was reading off a script, even though I totally am reading off a script for some of this stuff. But if I could at least memorize a paragraph, or they're my words, I'm typing them, but in many cases, I will, as I'm reading it, I find it sounds hokey and I'll change it. But no, for every minute of video that I record or that comes out in a video, there's probably 30 minutes of I should start putting some of the bloopers. Those are some of my favorite videos. You just the stuff that I say that I'm just like blah, 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 and so that I have to go edit out later. I leave a specific pause so that I know I can chop that out and put it back in later. But no, most videos are recorded are almost an hour in length and they get cut down to 5 minutes because that's how many times it takes for me to say what I want to say, and it came out good. Editing is many hours, even for a 5-minute video, versus the recording time takes next to nothing. So one guy I watched says record the video once and then do it all again and use a second video to edit and publish. That's a great suggestion. For me, I find the best thing is I will sit down if I have a topic about a timeshare and people are asked a question, and I will write the story of that in an email to myself, and then I will purposely not look at it for a day. In the day two, I'll open that email and I'll read it again, and I will remember, or I will improve that tenfold just in the second version of that. And then I'll do that again. And so by the time I am ready to actually record, the story that I have written is just so much better than what I first encountered, even though that would just cover the topic. So that is how I decide, and that's how I come up with the short videos. Although the content itself makes it very easy, at least on TUG, because there's just a never-ending supply of questions, and the most common stuff are easy to make videos on because it's stuff people are searching for, not so much reviews of resorts, or not so much the actual timeshares themselves, but the questions we get day in and day out. How do I sell my timeshare? What happens if I stop paying for my timeshare? I still owe on my loan. What can I do? Can I get rid of my timeshare? How do I cancel it? Will my timeshare take it back? And all of these questions that we get on a regular basis are not just the emails and the posts on the forums, but the stuff that people are looking on YouTube for or searching the internet for. So we have gotten, I can't tell you how many people have put your YouTube channel in the referral box when they join. So people are absolutely watching the videos. I'm overjoyed that we're approaching 5,000 followers, excuse me, 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I do another giveaway. So, you know, I just like this option because I personally enjoy the off the cuff videos more than sitting down and writing a pre-prepared, I don't want to call it a speech, but a pre-prepared story that I am editing. They make for much nicer looking videos, 100%. But for me, what I enjoy is interacting with people and giving this stuff just off the cuff. So See, I've already been talking for 40 minutes, and it absolutely just blows my mind that I can just ramble on for this long, and that you guys are willing to sit there and listen to it. It's fantastic. So the last option that came up, the last post. This is a nice little. Hopefully that did it. Did it? I didn't. Hang on, I gotta add. I lost my option there. So share, got my face back in. So perfect. RCI 10-year renewal rate. This is something I had never known about. I'm sure it's not new. It's not groundbreaking or earth shattering, but I personally went back and looked, and it's on their website as a normal thing. So it's not like a discount or a special offer, but you can renew your membership for 10 years, and it's $77 a year essentially, which is a heck of a discount over the. I mean, what is it? Almost math is hard on public school. Sorry. So what is it? $99 usually, and so 77, so $22 off. I mean, that's a 20% savings, 22% savings, I guess, if the math works there. So oops, I guess I didn't add that to the stage. So for anyone who's looking, what do you think? Is RCI going to be around in 10 years? That's a great segue into the thing that made this interesting to me is do any of y'all see all of these large corporations, the Marriotts and the Blue Greens and the Hiltons and the Diamonds, that are all converging and merging and having their own internal exchange programs? Do you believe that is a direct challenge to RCI and II? Do you think that RCI and II are going to survive in the timeshare industry? Are they going to remain? Or are, as these large conglomerates and mergers or acquisitions or whatever you want to call them, is that going to be more attractive to an owner to buy into one of those mega systems, we'll call them, the omnibus systems? I'm sure there's a great term for it. Do you think RCI is going to be around in 10 years? Obviously $77 a year is not a terribly significant investment, especially in the timeshare industry. But is it something that you would buy a 10-year membership for? Could RCI get adopted by, obviously owned by, in the Wyndham family of companies? I would not. I would probably bet on one of those two being around in 10 years. But is the timeshare exchange company, or the large timeshare exchange company, going to survive, or is it going to eventually just slowly go the way of the dodo? I would genuinely be interested to see what the subscription rates or subscription numbers are for RCI and II, their membership numbers. Do they even publish those? I don't think I've ever seen a published chart of the number of annual members for RCI and II. And is that on the decline? If I had to put money on it, I would say yes. I would think that given the options of the larger systems, especially with all the mergers that have happened over the past 5 years, I would guesstimate that if I went back to 2020 RCI and II membership numbers and compared them to 2025, if I was a betting man, I would think that both of those would be on the decline. But that's just me. I don't really have any educated or factual information to base that on. But I just see so many more options in the industry, and it seems like when the industry started going to points, that was just their idea of making their own internal exchange program, so that giving people more selection is truly what RCI and I were all about. Your ability to trade your timeshare and not be locked in to the same week at the same resort each and every year in and year out. So when I see the Hilton Blue Green Diamond merger, and I see the Marriott Vistana, why am I drawing a blank? I could have sworn Marriott Hyatt, and Hyatt has a Marriott own Hyatt now, and I see that in Welk buying Hyatt, and then Marriott owning that. I just see these huge, all these different systems, and you can tell that they are gearing up for a way to make all of those available, with all owners will at least somehow be able to reserve all of those resorts, and essentially making just your own, not quite as large, obviously nowhere near as large as RCRI, but giving you enough of a selection, if not dozens and dozens, if not hundreds in some cases, of resorts as these combine. Is that more attractive than dealing with not only paying for a membership, paying the cost to deposit, paying the cost to trade, paying the cost to transfer points, or to reserve points or rollover points? There have been so many complaints at the exchange companies year in and year out. And more importantly, is the inventory even still there? You see people no longer needing to deposit in RCI and II, especially with these points programs. Has the inventory just declined so much that it's just no longer sustainable? That was, people complained 15 years ago that I can never get what I'm looking for when I try to deposit my week. I can never find something. you see more and more systems as they consolidate and they go into their own point programs where the owners just don't need to deposit anymore. And that's got to only exacerbate the problem for both of those timeshare systems, exchange systems. Is it truly, are they on the ropes? I would genuinely like to see Marriott Vacation discloses the number of I members after Q did 1.5 million. See, that seems like a whole lot. I wonder how many of those where the ownership or the membership, II membership is paid as part of the maintenance fees, like it's included. And the same with II. I genuinely would be interested. I would never have guessed 1.5 million. That is a wild number. And I'm curious if you can go back and look. Can you go back to Q2 2020? That would be interesting. Was it 3 million and they've cut it in half, or was it 1 million and they've gone up by 50%? Those would be interesting numbers. Obviously we can do a deep dive, and that stuff just kind of fascinates me. But what do you guys think? Do you really think that the two Coke and Pepsi exchange companies will even exist in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years, or is everything destined to be just one giant point system, or a myriad of kind of, I won't say small mini exchange programs, but larger systems that are all consolidating to allow abound points to now I can reserve and a myriad of different systems where I have 100 resorts I can choose from that I'm able to book with my abound points, and the same with my Hilton points, and so on and so forth. So if I were a betting man, that is how I see the industry in 10 years. I see more of the consolidation. I see more of the point systems offering better options for owners to select and reserve other weeks and reservations within that cloud, or whatever we want to call it, that family of resorts, and just fewer and fewer people using the exchange companies just because they're getting priced out. I just see the cost for a membership, although again your cheapest stuff. May 2020 was 1.479, so up a little. They added Welk owners, that's true, and then what it did Disney switch, and so some of those numbers could have certainly could have been affected by many things other than just inventory. And maybe I'm just completely wrong. Maybe there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with RCI and II, and they're seeing record membership numbers and have no issue with revenue and exchanges being made. I could be jaded. When we see on the forums and the stuff I get in emails and in speaking to owners, you always get the complaints. It's far more rare for someone to say, man, I love RCI. It's fantastic. It does everything for me. Than it is for someone to say, man, I've never been able to make a trade. The trade's now, 199 or 299 or 279, or, you always hear complainants are more vocal than raving fans. And that's the case for any industry. So again, just that was my thoughts on it. I just want to pass along the savings. So I appreciate that particular. Who was it that posted that? L Greenspan. Thank you so much for posting that. I personally didn't know that they offer 10-year memberships at a discount. I know it was at 10 years first came out $6.99 before they first increased the price the following year. So it looks like the 10-year price has gone up by $69. But again, obviously, if you're in it for the long haul and you find a value in RCI, buying the 10-year membership for $77, 20% off. Anything to make things cheaper is what TUG is all about. So we're happy when someone announces these discounts or savings or coupons. It happens regularly with II as well for renewing their memberships. We always want to pass that along because again, saving money and making your vacations better for less money is what TUG is all about. So without anything else, that covers all four of us for us. So unless anybody has any questions or comments, or wants to mock me, or wants to ask, man, I forgot my hat. Gosh, I got my mother's side of the family's hairline, unfortunately. And then I wear a hat all the time. And I just came home from dealing with that, and just I'm sitting here in shorts and covered in mosquito bites. And so I apologize that I didn't get all dudded up for this particular live stream, but there are exigent circumstances involved. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This has been the most popular one to date. And again, I am going to make every effort to make sure that we go live on time at 9 p.m. next Tuesday, barring any sort of unforeseen circumstances. So I will do everything in my power. This is going to, and if we get pushed back another Tuesday, I'm just gonna chalk it up to we need to rename Timeshare Tuesday to like Timeshare Wednesday or something like that. But no, I will still continue to have these each week. I have a blast doing this. I love engaging with other owners. But unless there are any other questions, again, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me jibber jabber for almost 50 minutes now. It's truly humbling that people are willing to listen and talk and converse and learn about timeshares all on the internet. Who would have thought that back in the 90s that this is where we would be today? So without further ado, I bid everyone a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for tuning in, and catch us all next week, next Tuesday, for the timeshare recap, where we will discuss the next 4 most popular topics of the timeshare industry for week 31. Thank you all, guys. Good night. Good night, Claire.